Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you
Sometimes
think.
we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views. First on the news, as the House prepares for a crucial plenary vote on Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment, the National Unity Party has yet to finalize its position. Manila Representative Rolando Valeriano says party members will meet again to review the evidence and decide their next move. Mobile Journal Amy Atienza has the report.
The House Justice Committee is set to resume its hearing today to touch on the committee report to be passed going into House plenary sessions. After almost 2 months of discussing the allegations linked to the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte, the question remains, will the House gather enough numbers for it to push through to the Senate impeachment court? It can be recalled that the second biggest House bloc, a National Unity Party, released a statement prior to the committee's hearings. Pieces of evidence for the impeachment should be new, clear, and solid for it to withstand any scrutiny over at the impeachment court. One of its members, Manila Representative Rolando Valeriano, says that NUP is set to meet once more on May 5 to see if they will formulate a party stand as the members split on their decision regarding the matter.
I do not know pa rin pero by May 5, malalaman niyo yan kung may nakitang smoking ka ng NUP. At ang alam ko, naggawa rin kami ng sarili naming parang investigation in regards to sa impeachment para maging maging objective naman whatever the decision that we may have by the time na magbotohan sa plenary.
Some of them were NUP members, like the Senior Deputy Majority Floor Leader Nonoy Defensor po is an NUP member. So, kasama sa bumoto 53-0. Opo.
Dahil mahalaga yan. Mahalaga yan,
Kong. Isa sa prosecutor.
Despite opposing views, the Manila representative also noted that there are not less than 5 members of the party who are also members of the House Justice Committee. Among the evidence found by the committee, Valeriano identifies the VP's non-declaration of cash and cash deposits in her statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth as the strongest piece. He nonetheless remains confident with how the committee handled the impeachment case.
So naniniwala naman ako at maingat naman yung chairman ng Committee on Justice do sa pagsususi niya sa pagtalakay niya diyan at sinundan niya lang yung latest Supreme Court ruling regarding sa impeachment na parang kumbaga yun yung naging Bible namin di ba?
Valeriano also denied the allegation of Davao City Representative Paulo Duterte that some lawmakers are being bribed of additional funds to vote for the VP's impeachment.
Definitely that is not true. Tingnan mo nung nakaraang impeachment, I think 2024, di ba? Inalens din nila kami na lahat kami nabayaran para mag-come up kami sa 200 plus. Pero now is 2026. You can check, ako myself you can check my allocation in my district. You can check all the records in Congress. Kung meron akong nakuhang special na transactions with the government because of me signing the impeachment.
The lower chamber is expected to make its final decision on the impeachment of VP Sara on May 11 during the House plenary session. Kapatid Amy Atienza, we are One News.
Yeah, medyo crucial tong vote nila because it's the second largest bloc sa Congress. And parang NUP parang may usapan naman sila na may kanya-kanyang discernment sila on how they will vote. Pero alam mo naman usually pag partido yan solid yan
So far nga as of nung weekend, hati pa sila
Yes.
'Di ba? If they will vote on the impeachment of the Vice President or not. So today is very important also in the House of Representatives in terms of consolidating the reports regarding the impeachment. And by May 11, it's going to be the voting, Judgment Day, ika nga.
Yeah, but
if this is going to be transmitted to the Senate or not.
53 votes lang naman kailangan na because if you're gonna stand by the Justice Committee's numbers, they have 53 already. So another 53 na lang.
Now, meanwhile, the Senate may convene as an impeachment court this month and begin a full trial of Vice President Sara Duterte by June. That's according to Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson. Lacson noted that this timeline depends on whether the House of Representatives secures enough votes to approve the complaint during the resumption of session. He added that once the articles of impeachment are transmitted to the Senate, it would take at least 3 weeks before the actual trial could begin. Lacson said a preliminary conference would still be conducted before formal proceedings start.
Now, at this point, let's get an update from the House of Representatives with our mobile journalist, Amy Atienza. Amy, go ahead.
Yes, good morning, Angela, Diego. Ngayong ang araw ay inaasahan na natin na makikita natin yung committee report, yung House resolution, pati na rin yung articles of impeachment na ihahain nga ng House Justice Committee dito sa kanilang magiging pagdinig ngayong umaga. Well, expected na magsisimula around 10 a.m. pero most likely may mga preparations pa rin silang ginagawa para nga magsimula na sa kanilang magiging hearing today. Pero yun yung mga ina-expect natin. Of course, magkakaroon din talaga ng botohan din para nga mas matalakay pa rin yung mga nakapaloob doon sa draft na ipepresenta ng articles of impeachment. So expected natin na may 4 ding nakapaloob dito, kabilang na nga yung sa corruption allegations with Vice President Sara Duterte sa kanyang confidential funds, unexplained wealth, pati na rin yung sa kanyang grave threat na ibinigay nga yung pagbabanta niya kay Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, kay First Lady Liza Marcos, pati na rin kay former House Speaker Martin Romualdez. Well, technically, dito sa House of Representatives naman, may nakausap na rin tayo na ilang mga mambabatas na yun nga kinakailangan pa raw nilang tingnan din mismo itong magiging committee report, and following that, titingnan natin sa mga susunod na araw, most likely sa May 11 daw talaga magbobotohan at may aangat ito sa plenary session para nga makaboto na yung kabuuan ng Kamara sa kung dapat nga bang itaas na sa Senate Impeachment Court itong impeachment articles laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte.
Amy, there were reports also, nakikita natin, sinasabi nila tumaas daw yung budget for the operations ng mga congressmen, especially dahil malapit na daw yung botohan for the impeachment of the Vice President. How true is this?
Well, so far, Angela, kailangan pa natin tanungin yung ilan din sa mga lawmakers natin dito. Pero lagi din na mga nakikita natin dito, medyo usual naman yung nagiging operations. And technically today nga din, yung start din ng plenary sessions ulit ng House of Representatives matapos nga yung kanilang session break. So, marami pa rin tayong abangan din kasi in the following days, lalo na dito sa plenary. Hanggang ngayon, inaabangan pa natin yung magiging decision din ng Kamara sa political dynasty bill, maging yung doon sa mga naging reklamo na na-file doon sa ibang mga mambabatas pagdating sa kanilang ethics, at ito nga ang impeachment. So technically, marami tayong maabangan at syempre titingnan na developments dito mismo sa Kamara pagdating nga dito sa pagsisimula muli ng plenary sessions nila.
Amy, aside from yung NUP, ano pa ibang partido ang critical dito sa botohan sa plenary?
Well, titingnan din natin yung iba pang mga parties, Diego, na nagsasabi na parang kinakailangan pa rin talaga nilang ma-investigate ito. Isa din sa mga pinaka-crucial titingnan natin dito yung na mga independent, Diego, actually dahil nga nakikita natin yung ilan na from the 19th Congress ay pumirma doon, kabilang sila doon sa 215 na pumirma doon sa articles of impeachment. So titingnan natin if merong mga changes also doon sa mga decision na gagawin nga nila pagdating dito, lalo na dahil hindi ito yung pirma lang na nangyari, walang signatures lang na nangyari, kundi nagkaroon ng hearings for almost 2 months. So baka meron ding either madagdag or mawala doon sa mga listahan na nakita natin noong unang impeachment ni VP Sara dito sa Kamara.
Of course, while we understand yung point ni Justice Committee Chair Luis Tro na they are looking not at the political alignment but on the official records that were presented during the hearings, 'di ba? Yung mga procedure na ginawa diyan sa House of Representatives. Pero at this point ba nakikita ba nila na magkakaroon ng kaparehas na numero from the last year's impeachment kay VP Sara? Or mamimit naman yung threshold pero hindi ganun kasing dami nung katulad before?
Walang expected lang talaga dito, Angela, ay maabot nga yung votes na 106 or 1/3 ng House of Representatives. So regardless kung madagdagan nga dahil from last year's record, nasa 215 na congressmen yung pumirma, ang mahalaga dito ay maiangat nga muli sa Senate Impeachment Court, lalo na dahil may mga ebidensya ding nakita, katulad na nga lang doon sa confidential funds ni VP Sara na 125 million na pesos na nagastos in less than 1 day. So yung mga ganong evidence, pieces of evidence, talagang crucial na yan. So regardless of the number, as long as may taas nga ito sa Senate Impeachment Court, ay mahalaga na ito para nga sa House of Justice Committee. At kung makikita natin, meron pa rin kasi tayong iniintayan na green box na bubuksan kung saan nga ito yung naglalaman ng tax records ni Vice President Sara Duterte at ng asawa niyang si Attorney Mans Carpio. So titingnan natin din kung ano nga ba yung mangyayari pa doon, kung mabubuksan nga ba, and if may enough numbers, most likely naman na mabuksan ito mismo doon sa trial na gagawin na sa Senado.
Well, understandably, na May 11 pa talaga natin malalaman kung ma-impeach nga itong si Vice President Sara Duterte at matransmit sa Senado itong impeachment case niya, ay nagpe-prepare na rin ba kung sakasakali ang ilan sa kanila para maging parte o maging miyembro ng prosecution panel, at sino-sino ba ito if ever?
Well, may naririnig pa tayong names, Angela, kung sino nga ba yung mga possible daw na maging miyembro nitong prosecution panel. Nung na-interview din natin mismo si Congressman Rolando Valeriano, parang nakikita din daw si Congressman Nonoy Defensor na maging miyembro ng prosecution panel. Pero so far, wala pa kasing official list. Pero kung mababalikan lang din natin, ilan nga sa mga members din ng House Prosecution Panel ng nakaraang impeachment, sila Congressman at si Committee Chairperson Jervy Luistro, si Congressman Isabel Zamora, pati si Congressman Brian Poe na kasama nga doon sa prosecution panel na tinitingnan. Pero yun nga, tingnan pa natin din kung ano yung mga lista, yung official list na maibibigay ng House Justice Committee. And meron na ding nasabi dito si Committee Chairperson Jervy Luistro nga na possible din humingi sila din ng tulong from private litigators para nga dito sa prosecution na gagawin kung sakaling tumaas nga sa Senate Impeachment Court itong impeachment mismo ni VP Sara.
So kumbaga, to clarify what you said, maaaring kumuha din ng miyembro outside the House of Representatives sa mga lawyers doon.
Yes, actually, yun din yung tinitingnan. Tinanong natin si Akbayan Party List Representative Percy Sendanya tungkol dito. Sabi niya, usual naman daw na nagiging case din nito kung may impeachment at magiging beneficial nga din and significant yung magiging role nitong mga private litigators nga kung sakaling magtuloy-tuloy ang impeachment hanggang sa Senado.
Amy, mabilisan na lamang, kamusta yung atmosphere dyan ngayon sa plenary? Ngayon magkakaroon sila ng mga pagdedebatihan pa nila yung report na yan. And nakita na ba ang ilan sa mga kamag-anak ni VP Sara dyan sa plenaryo?
Well, so far dito mismo sa pagdadausan ng hearing ng House Justice Committee, lighter than the previous days na nakita natin. Hindi ganoon kabigat yung atmosphere, hindi katulad nung inaantabayan natin yung magiging usapin pagdating sa confidential funds, pati unexplained wealth ni VP Sara. At most likely mas lively din yung nakita natin dahil mas marami na rin tayong nakikitang kongresista today, lalo na nga dahil magbabalik na yung plenary session. As for the relatives of Vice President Sara Duterte, so far wala pa tayong nakikita pero abangan natin yan dahil later on 3 p.m. mag-resume naman ang plenary sessions kung saan nga most likely may mapag-usapan din talaga about the current issues na nangyayari din dito mismo sa Kamara.
Alright, maraming salamat, mobile journalist Amy Atienza reporting live from the House of Representatives. Now we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. The Atenito Coalition has arrived in Pag-asa Island for its 4th civilian mission in the West Philippine Sea. For the latest developments, we have mobile journalist Arles de los Santos on the ground. Arles, kamusta ka na dyan?
Angela at Diego, matagumpay nga na nakaabot sa Isla ng Pag-asa ang atin ito coalition para sa ika-4 nilang civilian mission sa isa sa mga teritoryo ng Pilipinas sa West Philippine Sea. Ito yung kauna-unahan na civilian mission led na umabot nga mismo doon sa Isla ng Pag-asa. No? Kung makikita nyo, Angela at Diego, medyo naka-jacket lang tayo at nakasombrero dahil napakalakas ng hangin dito ngayon sa ating paglalayag pabalik ng Maynila. Bahagyang umulan din, medyo madilim pa nga yung papawirin ngayon, no, at medyo nagbagal yung ating barko na sinasakyan. Ito yung MV Kapitan Felix Ocano. Pero Angela at Diego, kahapon nakita natin na gumulong nga yung mga programa ng atin ito coalition. No? Umaga kahapon ay matagumpay nga na nagtanim ng watawat ng Pilipinas at ng atin ito coalition sa Pag-asa K o yung tinatawag na Sandy K. No? Sa kabilayan ng matindi na presensya ng China Coast Guard at nagkaroon pa nga, no, ng rubber boat na agad-agad na dumating doon. No? Pero naging matagumpay naman ang atin ito coalition na magtirik ng watawat doon sa pangunguna ni Akbayan Party List Representative Dada Ismulak Kiram. At siya rin yung nanguna sa pagsasagawa ng jet ski ride doon din mismo sa palibot ng Isla ng Pag-asa. No? Ito na nga raw yung pagtupad doon sa anilay na pakong pangako ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte na marami nga ang umasa at naniwala na dedepensahan ang soberanya ng Pilipinas sa West Philippine Sea. So ayon kay Representative Ismula, Angela at Diego, siya na raw yung gagawa nito. No? Isang Mindanaoan, babae at indigenous people at ito yung patuloy nga na pag-iita sa soberanya ng Pilipinas sa West Philippine Sea.
Arles, linawin natin aning naging walang attempt naman lang lumapit ang mga Chinese counterparts no na nagplant ng flag sa Sandy Cay?
Actually, Diego, yung pagpa-plant ng watawat ay kahit sa atin, no, naging limitado yung ating impormasyon. Hindi nila ito inanunsyo sa atin ng ating coalition dahil nais nga nila na masigurado na hindi ito matutunugan ng mga Chinese. Pero mga around 4 to 5 a.m. kahapon, ayun nga, no, pumuslit sila at nangahas na pumunta doon sa Pag-asa Island, Pag-asa K or Sandy K na tinatawag. No? And then nakita ng mga Chinese iyon and within 10 minutes parang nakakita na sila ng 2 rubber boats and isang fishing vessel ng China na papalapit nga doon sa area. No? Pero matagumpay naman nila na nagawa na magtanim ng watawat at hindi rin naman sila nasaktan. No? Pero kahit from afar, ay makikita natin na talagang malalaki yung mga sasakyang pandagat ng China na nakapalibot doon. And alam mo ba, Diego, bago pa tayo makalapag doon mismo sa Isla ng Pag-asa, itong MV Kapitan Felix Oca ay nakatanggap ng hindi bababa sa 3 radio challenges mula mismo sa China Coast Guard. At sunod-sunod din yung natanggap natin nga na mensahe, no, na welcome to China. And then later on, pagkatapos nun, parang welcome back to the Philippines. And then susunod ulit, welcome to China ulit na mga mensahe. No? Pero still, natupad naman ng atin ito coalition yung kanilang misyon na igit ang ating soberanya sa West Philippine Sea.
Wait, Arles, yung rubber boat is from China. Lumapit sila sa contingent natin? Was there contact? Was there a dialogue? Or palibot-libot lang?
Wala namang dialogue and wala rin contact sa ating mga kababayan mismo, Diego. No? Pero yung Pag-asa K or yung Sandy Cay, para kasi itong sandbar, kalapit mismo ng Isla ng Pag-asa, may mga maliliit na pulo pa kasi sa paligid ng Pag-asa Island, Diego. No? And doon sa area na yun mismo, yan, yung nakikita ninyo sa screen. So yan, atin yan. Wala pang China rubber boats dyan. Pero pagkaalis nila, agad-agad na nagsilapit yung mga fishing rubber boats dyan. And actually, they're expecting nga na baka raw alisin ng mga ito yung ating watawat doon. Pero still, maliwanag nga ito na manifestasyon, no, na sa Pilipinas talaga itong bahagi na ito ng Pag-asa Island.
Alright, maraming salamat, mobile journalist Arles de los Santos.
The House Justice Committee is set to adopt its report finding probable cause to impeach Vice President Sara Duterte and eventually transmit it to the plenary for consideration. Let's now watch this.
Sa totoo lang, hindi naman yon ang hinahanap natin. It was an answer that really just avoided the questions. Kaya naman, noong March 18, we determined that the complaints allege sufficient grounds for impeachment. Sumunod ang hearing sa March 25, kung saan we settled the preliminary matters, most especially ang pag-issue ng mga subpoena. Then came the marathon hearings of April 14, April 22, and April 29. Doon tayo nakinig sa mga resource person natin. We heard the evidence. We examined the evidence. At sa mga araw na iyan, doon natin naramdaman ang bigat ng ating ginagawa. May mga sandaling luminaw ang mga sagot at may mga sandaling mas dumami ang mga tanong. We certainly had our ups and downs. We had our inflows and outflows of testimonies and documents. But through it all, one thing remained certain. We never went sideways. Hindi tayo naligaw. Nanatili tayong may direksyon. We move, sometimes slow, sometimes painfully, but always forward towards the truth. Sinunod natin ang konstitusyon. Hindi tayo nagmadali. Hindi tayo nag-shortcut. We honored the process. Bawat hakbang, bawat salita, bawat ebidensya, hinarap natin ng buong pag-iingat at pananagutan. Sa paglalakbay na ito, napagod tayo. Sinubok ang ating pasensya, lalo na sa harap ng mga batikos mula sa labas. We saw the press conferences of the Vice President's camp. We saw the petitions filed in the Supreme Court and the complaint filed in the office of the city prosecutor. Opo, maraming hakbang ang ginawa upang pigilan ang prosesong ito. Pero sa kabila ng lahat, hindi tayo natinag. For in the end, it is not the absence of struggle that defined us, but the refusal to lose our way, the discipline to stay the course, and the clarity to never lose sight of where we are going. At noong mga nakaraang pagdinig, we have seen the evidence. Ito ang mga nakita at narinig natin. Una, ang testimonya ni Ramil Madriaga na base sa ebidensya, mas kilala sa pangalang Sir Ram. Pangalawa, ang mga misteryosong envelopes at ang mga questionableng resibo. Pangatlo, ang paliwanag ng NBI tungkol sa magkakaibang pangalan, ngunit iisa ang pirma. Pang-apat, ang sertipikasyon ng PSA na walang record ang mga pangalang katulad ng Mary Grace Piatos. Pang-lima, ang COA findings na nag-uutos ng refund na 73 million at 375 million. Pang-anim, ang ulat ng AMLC patungkol sa 6.7 billion na mga transaksyon. Napakalaking halaga na dumaloy sa mga account ng Vice-Presidente at ng kanyang asawa. Pang-pito, ang mga natuklasan ni former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV na ang malaking bahagi ng kayamanang ito ay may kaugnayan sa illegal drugs, At ang mas nakakagulat, ang pahayag na ito ay tumutugma sa record ng AMLC. Pangwalo, ang mga dokumento mula sa SEC na nagpapatunay na walang kinikita ang mga kumpanya ng Vice-Presidente kahit na natili siyang aktibo sa isa sa mga kumpanyang ito, nang ibig sabihin ay pinagsabay niya ang pagiging Vice-Presidente at pagpapatakbo ng negosyo. At nitong huling pagdinig lamang, noong April 29, dalawang bagay naman ang napag-usapan natin. Una, ang selyadong kahon mula sa BIR na sa kabila ng matinding debate, hindi muna natin binuksan kahit nasa kapangyarihan naman natin na buksan ito. Sabi nga ni Deputy Speaker Janet Guerin, ang puso natin ay gustong buksan ito, pero ang isip natin nagsasabing huwag muna. At dagdag pa rito, nagpahayag si Congressman Benny Abante, hindi porket kaya nating gawin ang isang bagay, ay dapat na nating gawin. At ang pangalawa, ang mga ebidensya ng pagmumura at ang pag-contract ng assassin. Grabe po itong mga ebidensyang ito, lalo na yung video ng Vice-Presidente. Kong Laila de Lima described it perfectly when she said, noong gabing iyon, nakita natin ang totoong Sara Duterte. Nanlilisik ang mata, halos bumula ang bibig, at lumabas ang dugo sa tenga dahil tila ba sasabog na ang kanyang ulo sa galit. At that point, Congresswoman Janice Digamo once again shared her own painful experience. As a victim of political violence herself, pinaalala niya sa atin na ang banta ng pagpatay ay hindi biro. Ito ay seryosong panganib sa...
Now, in other news, a thick blanket of ash covers parts of Albay following activity from the still restive Mayon volcano. In Ginobatan, all 44 barangays have been affected, impacting nearly 100,000 residents. Here's the report.
This drone video shows a thick blanket of ash covering a large community in Ginobatan, Albay. The area almost looks like a desert, with everything turning into one shade because of the ash that fell here. Roofs of houses and other structures, even the church, appear to be covered by ash from the still restive Mayon volcano. Even trees and plants at the foot of the volcano were not spared from the ashfall. As a result, all 44 barangays in the town have been affected. That is equivalent to more than 28,000 families or nearly 100,000 individuals.
Sabi kahapon talagang nag-zero visibility po dito sa bayan namin. And yung ashes, ang kapal, mga nasa 2 inches. Yung may mga respiratory tract infection, syempre, toxic din sa kanila. Yung may asthma, lalo na yung mga sa extreme, yung bata at matanda.
Aside from Ginobatan, the ashfall also affected the towns of Kamalig and Owas as well as Ligao City. On Sunday, Mayon eruption's visibility on the roads dropped to zero several times whenever motorists passed through ash that had accumulated on the road. Police are now on standby in the area to assist passing vehicles. The Bureau of Fire Protection has also been continuously flushing or pumping water in the area. Meanwhile, personnel from the Department of Public Works and Highways or DPWH are shoveling ash to keep it from clogging drainage canals. 72-year-old Nanay Guadalupe is wasting no time trying to clear the ash sticking to their yard.
Super pagod kasi kailangan mo maglinis, hindi pwedeng bukas o sunod na araw. Lalo pa ito, madulas na kung hindi mo alisin yung putik, madulas, ma-aksidente tayo, mahirap na.
PHIVOLCS explains no eruption took place. The agency says this was caused by pyroclastic density currents, or USON, a fast-moving and extremely hot flow of rock fragments and other volcanic materials rushing down the slopes of the volcano.
Meron pong natipak na isang bahagi ng lava flow na galing sa bandang maring sa bandang itaas po ng bulkang Mayon. At ito ay nagdulot ng, habang dumadaustos po ito pababa, nagdulot po ito ng pyroclastic density current. Ito yung nakita natin na malaking mass ng abo na kulay usok, na kulay itim kahapon sa bandang ibaba. So, pero wala naman po talagang pagputok na nangyari.
Now let's get the latest update on Mayon Volcano. We have PHIVOLCS Director Teresito Bacolcol. Good morning, Director. Thank you for joining us again. Hi, Director. Can you hear us okay? We'll try to fix the line para mas makausap natin si Director.
Si Director, good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning din po sa inyo, sir and ma'am.
Yan, thank you, Director, for joining us. Update lang po, no? Ano po nangyari sa Mayon Volcano over the weekend?
Right now sa kasalukuyan, patuloy pa rin ang effusive activity ng Mayon Volcano, tulad ng meron tayong lava flow, rock falls at paminsan-minsan collapse generated PDC. So yung nangyari nung Sabado, meron tayong malaking PDC. Nangyari ito sunod-sunod from 4:28 to hanggang 8:40. So yung PDCs natin umabot hanggang 5 kilometers from the summit, but still within the 6-kilometer permanent danger zone. So yung may ash plume din na kaakibat and umabot ng 3,000 meters above mean sea level. And yung ash fall ay naiulat hanggang 15 to 18 kilometers mula sa summit. Kabilang na dito yung ilang bahagi ng Kamalig, Ginubatan at saka sa Ligaw. So makapal sa Kamalig at sa Ginubatan, pero sa Ligaw traces na lamang.
Well, in simpler terms, para po sa ating viewers, what caused po itong PDC, yung pyroclastic density currents?
So yung PDCs can be generated in several ways. So maaaring mula sa pag-collapse ng lava dome o di kay pag-collapse ng lava flow. Pwede rin itong mula sa explosive eruptions or mula sa pag-collapse ng eruption column, na kapag meron tayong explosive eruption, nagkakaroon ng column, babagsak. Hindi po yan nangyari nung Sabado, wala po tayong explosive eruption, wala rin po tayong collapse ng eruption column. So ang nangyari, since ongoing yung effusive eruption natin, yung lava sa itaas ng bulkan na iipon, naging unstable, kaya bumagsak.
Well, Director, may impact po ito sa quality of air around the area?
Yes po, kasi kaakibat ng PDC ay yung abo. So kaya kung makikita natin yung mga videos nung Sabado, ang lawak ng abo, akala ng mga tao, yun na yung nagkakaroon na ng explosive eruption. When in fact, abo lang yun galing sa pag-collapse ng mga lava flows natin. And again, malawak yung sakop ng abo, umabot ng 18 kilometers. So, delikado po yan sa ating kalusugan.
It's good that you mentioned that, Director, no? Kasi there was an ongoing debate sa social media, yung mga tao doon, pinipilit nila na there was an eruption. But hindi naman po talaga yun yung nangyari. There are a lot of things that happened during that time. At may sinasabi pa po nga sila yung lava fountaining. Can you explain that to us also, Director?
Okay, so tama, may lava fountaining, pero short-lived lang yung lava fountaining natin. Technically, may eruption naman talaga kasi since January 6, meron na tayong effusive eruption. So, ongoing yan until today, may effusive eruption pa rin. So, pero yung explosive eruption, wala po. Wala pong nangyaring explosive eruption. So, as a result of this effusive eruption, slowly naglalabas ng lava, ilalabas yung lava sa dalisdis ng bulkan, naiipon, naging unstable, kaya bumagsak.
And how concerning po itong mga pangyayari na ito, itong activity ng Mayon as compared to the last couple of months?
Delikado po yung PDC natin. again, yung PDC, it can incinerate everything on its path. Mabilis ito, mabilis na daloy ng mainit na gas abo at volcanic fragments pababa ng vulkan. So, kapag may mga PDCs, very dangerous po yan kasi nga it can incinerate everything on its path. Tao, bahay, hayop, kahoy. Pero yung PDCs natin, ongoing activity yan, part ng effusive activity ng Mayon Volcano. It's just that nung Sabado, malaki. Pero it doesn't mean na nagbabago yung overall condition ng vulkan. It just so happen na bumagsak yung mga lava flows natin.
Alright, on that note, maraming salamat po muli sa inyong oras, PHIVOLCS Director Teresito Bacolcol.
Maraming salamat din po.
Thank you.
Another round of fuel price hikes may greet motorists this week. Based on industry estimates, diesel prices could go up by around 20 to 40 centavos per liter. Gasoline prices may also see an increase, reversing the price cuts in recent weeks. The Department of Energy says final price movements may still change depending on global oil trading. Motorists are advised to monitor official announcements from oil companies. Don't go away because we're not done yet. Stay with us.
We have a special.
Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on the One News.
The Miss Universe Philippines 2026 crown was awarded to Bea Milan Windorsky of La Union during the coronation night on Saturday. Bea bested more than 30 other candidates and was crowned by outgoing title holder Atisa Manalo. During the Q&A, she said representing the Philippines remains meaningful due to her deep personal connection to the country and her Filipino identity while growing up in the United States. Bea will represent the Philippines in the Miss Universe pageant in Puerto Rico.
And of course, joining us now is the newly crowned Miss Universe Philippines 2026, Bea Milan Windorsky of La Union. Bea, congratulations, by the way.
Hello, maraming salamat po for having me.
Wow,
thank you for
Welcome to
joining
News
us.
and Views. We just saw each other earlier on Good Morning
Yeah, good to
Kapatid.
see you again. We go way back.
I understand.
All right, let's start off. Of course, you want to know what was going through your mind, before, during, and after your name was called.
So before, I really was just thinking back on my performance, and I'm really a perfectionist. So I was thinking about what I could have improved. Growing up, I was really privileged to have a mom that pushed me to be my best self. So I was thinking, I could have done this turn more cleanly, or I could have said this, that, or the other thing instead. And then during, I really didn't believe it at first until Allison, Miss Pampanga, had to shake my arm, and she was like, Bea, it's you. Go up. And then after, I just started crying because I've never felt so much pride and acceptance. Growing up in the US, I never really felt at home. And moving here to the Philippines has been all about finding where I belong, planting my roots where I believe I could thrive the most. And winning the Miss Universe Philippines crown was the culmination of that. I was thinking back to younger Bea, who felt like she could never fit in. And that moment, I hope I could make her proud.
And look at you now.
So interesting you said that. Despite of his solid performance, during those moments you mentioned, you were not confident that you nailed it or you bagged it?
I'm a perfectionist always, so I'm really excited to hone my skills even more for Puerto Rico to really ensure that we could bring that fifth crown home. Part of my journey too is in the Philippines with so much going on in the socio and economic state of our country, we really need a win. So winning this fifth crown wouldn't just be for me, but it would be for every Filipino within and without our borders.
Well, your answer to the question during the coronation night resonated a lot of Filipinos, strongly resonated a lot of Filipinos. And what was going on through your mind if you were given a chance to expound that answer? What else could you say?
Yeah, well, I love to talk, and it's hard for me to be brief. So what I really want to expound upon is that in the Philippines, we hold our beauty queens sometimes to an even higher standard than our public servants and our elected officials. And first and foremost, before being a beauty queen, I want to be a public servant. I want to use this platform and this crown to connect the people to real tangible policy change. And that includes OFW protections, making sure that we could work with foreign governments to ensure our OFWs are properly treated with dignity and respect abroad. That also extends to protecting our trans brothers and sisters. As a proud younger sister of a trans kuya, it's important to me that our trans brothers and sisters could have proper documentation here that reflects their gender identity. And then lastly, of course, protection for our environment. We live in a very climate vulnerable country, and it's important that there's proper disaster responses and disaster resilience initiatives like reforestation, protecting the Sierra Madre, because that's really what prevents worse flooding downstream.
I can see you working right away. Such beauty and purpose you have. But of course, Miss Universe will take on November, right? November of this year. So how are you going to prepare, and what kind of training are you going to prioritize?
I will definitely be prioritizing my pasarela training because in the Philippines, it's a completely different level. Miss Universe Philippines is really the Olympics of pageantry.
Right.
Standing beside so many seasoned veterans, women that I've even grown up looking up to, was truly the honor of a lifetime. And I'm really hoping to bring my best to Puerto Rico, because also this crown is not just for me, it's also the hard work and dedication of my 49 co-delegates. And I really want to honor them by giving the best performance possible.
What can you say about the critics that would say that question and answer during the pageants are just performative and it really doesn't translate into action? What can you say about that?
I would say the relevance of pageantry and the opportunity to have Q&A is reflected in pageants are woven into the very fabric of our national identity here in the Philippines, and they serve as a model of what our country can be and what our country should be. And the fact that 7 of us had the opportunity to speak to millions of Filipinos and even a global audience and capture their attention is proof of the relevance pageants hold today. And I promise that I will be a public servant to the Filipino people. I will work day in and day out, not just to go to publicity events, not just to do photo shoots, but to really live on the legacy of other queens who came before me, like Atisa Manalo, who really used her crown for good, like Pio Wurtzbach, who advocates for Love Yourself Philippines. They've really proven why being a pageant queen isn't just about being beautiful, it's about being maganda inside and out.
And what would you
see
say?
Your hands get dirty.
Yeah. But moving forward, what would you say your biggest challenges could be in bagging, hopefully, another crown?
The biggest challenge is really shutting out the noise and taking the comments that matter, because you really have to stay true to your core and what makes you you. I've had a lot of criticisms that I come off as performative because I love to dance budots, I love to cheer and clap for my co-delegates, and people think that it's just for the cameras, but I'm a very gagil person through and through, very overeager, and even though people have told me to be more demure, more queenly, really what's gotten me through this journey is staying true to who I am, and I really want to continue that and bring what makes me me to Puerto Rico.
What you see is what you get.
So we'll see a bubbly you moving forward.
Yes, very bubbly me.
Very bubbly you.
During the coronation night, what was the what was the most favorite part of that competition?
My favorite part was after my crowning moment, some of my best friends in the competition ran up to greet me. And Adela May Marshall, Montanlupa, Isabel Prats, Laguna, so many of the girls that I really became close with. It was just such a special moment because they also have a very important win that night. The fact that they could represent themselves and their communities with such grace and pride. And that's why I started crying so much, is because I was able to share that moment with women that we've spent every single day together for the past 3 months and really created an unbreakable bond. And another more funny moment was Adela and Palawan, Aviana, they had their own little meme moment where they looked back at the camera.
Like that. Right. Well, we saw that as well. But of course, many Filipinos are hoping for 5th Miss Universe crown. So, what message can you tell our kababayan?
Yes, my message is that by winning the 5th crown in Puerto Rico, I hope that we could realize we deserve better. And I hope to use this reign as an opportunity to show what leadership looks like when you live up to your promises. Promises said are promises delivered for me. And I hope that we apply the same standard to our elected officials and public servants.
No, I'd like to ask now, it's only been a few days since you won. What has changed so far in your life?
I can't take angkas or grab anymore.
You used to take angkas and grab.
About her.
Okay.
Earlier, someone asked me, what makes you Filipino? And it's that I'm very kuripot. I'll stay wherever I can.
You're from La Union.
Northern. So yeah, kuripot.
Just came from La Union last week, by the way.
How was it? How did you enjoy?
We enjoyed it. And, Diego, Bea is also a surfer.
Okay.
Beginner surfer lang, but I love to surf. Even after a hard wipeout, I just love being out in the sun and really being within nature.
So what else don't we know about you? I mean, aside from being, you said, the self-confessed kuripot, and you used to take angkas.
I would say that I'm a bit of a nerd. Like when someone earlier, one of the workers asked me, oh, what's your most used social media? Do you like TikTok? I actually like Reddit the most because I love social media where you just read. And then I also am very close with my family, especially my kuya. It's been part of my life journey that I have a strong sense of justice, and that comes from my family. I remember one of the first demonstrations I went to, I was only 7, and it was on behalf of my tita, who's a public school teacher. So my parents really taught me that part of our Catholic faith is living as Jesus did, and that we use our position to uplift the underprivileged, those who can't speak for themselves.
Right.
Well, no, go ahead.
Well, speaking of that, you mentioned a while ago that you want to be a public servant for all. So, during your reign, what specific advocacy would you want to focus on?
Yeah, so I am really hoping to work with the Department of Migrant Workers in coordinating with foreign governments to make sure that our OFWs abroad have more mandatory rest days, more mandatory holidays, because they're really the engine of our economy.
Right.
And they deserve not only vague gestures of saying they deserve more dignity, they deserve more gratitude, but they need tangible action to make sure their labor is really valued. Additionally, I hope to work with Love Yourself Philippines and other organizations that work with the LGBT community to promote inclusivity, acceptance, but also hopefully policy that could make sure those who have a change in their gender marker can obtain proper documents that reflect who they are. And lastly, I want to continue the work I've done for the past 10 years with environmental conservation here in the Philippines. I love Project Korma, which is a sea turtle conservation project in La Union, but they also do amazing work with disaster resilience and disaster responses.
Interesting. After all is said and done, will we see you as a politician?
I do want to work within the bureaucracy, but more so the Department of Environment and Natural Resources or the Department of Migrant Workers. After this whole journey, I'm hoping to return to school, hopefully Ateneo Law School, and then be able to use that education and use all of my experiences to serve the Filipino people the best way I can.
Well, we could use someone like you.
Thank you po.
But of course, thank you so much. We're very excited and we are praying that you bring home the crown. Thank you so much for joining us today and good luck for the rest of the day.
Maraming salamat po. Thank you so much for having me.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, Miss Universe Philippines 2026, Bea Milan Windorski.
And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
And I'm Angelo Castro, the third kapatid. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.